The Huskies are coming off a weekend split with Omaha. They climb one spot in this week's USCHO.com poll and sit sixth nationally as they're back on the road for conference play this weekend out at Denver. Welcome to another week of the St. Cloud State Husky Hockey Weekend Preview. I'm your host, Taylor Budge. Joined alongside me is Mick Hatten from the St. Cloud Times. Now, Mick, a solid win for the Huskies on Friday. Saturday, they weren't as lucky, losing 7-2. How do they put that Saturday loss behind them and move forward into this weekend?
Well, I think it's that's a mentality thing. I mean, you just have to kind of move on beyond that. I mean, it's kind of the same type of thing when they won at Western Michigan 11-1 on a Saturday. You can't sit there and go think about how great you are after an 11-1 win. You have to kind of move on to the next thing. I think St. Cloud State will do the same thing here. I mean, I think they just kind of walked away from that loss on Saturday, said we didn't have it tonight, we're going to move on, we're going to try and focus on some other things, and let's start that on Monday.
Now, in Friday night's game, we saw Judd Peterson go down. Coach Motzko said in that press conference that we won't be seeing him until around Christmas time. That's huge for the Huskies offense since he leads the team in goals. Who needs to step up now in his absence?
Well, they're going to shuffle some people around here. I mean, and I think we saw that on Saturday night where they were trying to find that right combination and who's going to play center with Judd gone. I mean, one of the things that Coach Motzko really tries to establish is who are my centers, who are the four guys that are going to be at center on a regular basis. They kind of settled into that a little bit, and Judd had done a real nice job and stepped into that one of those spots this season. But they're going to try Daniel Tedesco, it sounds like, a little bit here early on in the week in practice and see how that goes. They're trying to find somebody who's going to be able to play defense. That's one thing that Judd does a pretty good job of, is playing both ends of the rink. So that will be a big question mark going into this series.
Now, a big offense contributor, though, is David Morley. He's sitting 1 point away from the Century Club. Are you expecting him to step up this weekend and hopefully get number 100?
I'd be surprised if he didn't. And maybe a tough weekend for his line this past weekend. He still ended up getting a point. So being 1 point away, I think that's well within the grasp for David. One of the things that hurt him along those lines was Joey Bennett get 3 posts on Friday night against Nebraska Omaha. If one of those goes in, maybe we wouldn't even be talking about that right now.
Now, looking forward to this weekend at Denver. They had a lot of success against St. Cloud State last year, especially Joey LaLeggia. He's gone now, though, but a lot of other defenders are stepping up in his absence as well. Right.
That's one of the interesting things about Denver is their offense kind of starts from their defense. Those guys kind of step up and into the play. Joey LaLeggia was a massive part of their team for the last 4 seasons, and as you mentioned, he graduated. But you look, and Nolan Zajac, Will Butcher, 2 of their top 4 scorers going into this series. A couple of guys that are very experienced. That's still going to be concerned for St. Cloud State. Denver's not quite as potent offensively as they have been in the past few years, but still a very difficult team. They're still ranked, and you look in the early pairwise rankings, and they're right in the thick of things.
Denver obviously has a lot of contributors on the board for defensive players. Their forwards have been a little bit quiet this year, though, especially Danton Heinen and Trevor Moore, who led the way in the NCHC last season.
Right, a couple of very potent offensive players. They're not off to great starts, but they're not off to horrendous starts where they don't have a point here going into the weekend. Heinen in particular is a very high-end offensive player. The NCHC Rookie of the Year last season. I expect he's going to get going here at some point where all of a sudden you're going to see 3, 4, 5 points out of him in a game. So, that's an interesting dynamic. They're not quite as dynamic maybe offensively as they have been in the last couple of seasons. But one of the things that's interesting with Denver too is that you have to account for both their goalies are going to split time. Tanner Gillette and Evan Cowley are still splitting time this season, so you're going to get a couple of different looks there. Teams going into Denver always have to deal with the altitude, so it'll be interesting to see how St. Cloud State handles that.
Denver's coming off a weekend of getting swept at North Dakota as well, so it definitely sets up for an interesting weekend. Now, puck drop for this weekend is set for 8 o'clock both Friday and Saturday. You can catch the game Friday on DirecTV channel 623 and by always listening to 99.9 Light FM on the radio. Mick, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.